contact with non-human intelligence as far back as our history goes.
Yeah.
So you have both those really important themes, and I mean, I think there's something there to it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Do you we're going to jump back into experiences in a second, but do you think that we have, and I say we mainly as like Western governments and probably more specifically the US, although I have my suspicions about my own government, and private sector, defense contractors, etc. But do you think that we've got operational platforms that are like UFOs?
My own suspicion is that yes, I suspect that we have, and I know people have said no, we haven't come close to it, but we don't have to come close to genuine, real UFO tech to be able to reproduce mildly some of the effects that we've observed. There was speculations that the B2 had a very mild anti-gravity effect.
Yeah,
So
ionize the air around the leading
yeah,
edge.
yeah. So just coupling together multiple technologies like that, I think we're a lot further ahead than most people think. I think that we do have our own kind of UFOs, even if they're not strictly working on the UFO principles that we see with genuine phenomenon UFO intelligence. I think even just the mild stuff would be mind blowing. Not even the stuff where they're just say like a genuine UFO can turn into energy and fly right through a mountain. We probably don't have that. I don't think.
Yeah, but
Um,
maybe like
but
electrogravitics of some sort, the ability to cancel
yeah,
out mass or something like that. Yeah.
and turn invisible.
Right.
Mask
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like maybe the five observables to some extent, right? But not on the level of like real deal others technology.
Yeah. Yeah. So, right. I'm excited for this because you're about to talk about a recent experience you had. And is this the first experience you've had with orange orbs like this before, or have you had other ones
Um, I mean, I guess the fireball you can consider an
kind of
orange
like,
orb.
yeah.
But I mean, this was definitely a different quality. And overall, I mean, talking about some of the other experiences, some of those were more incredible in a sense, where those were very profound. This one was incredible just because it was very direct. It was quick, in a sense, um, and it was very unique. And it was, to me, clearly not human technology. Um, so that's why I thought this one was really cool. And this orange orb, um, I'm trying to explain. I can't even think of the words to describe the way. This one was like pulsing energy, but the the way it looked, it was like almost like the energy was fizzling, like
So,
fizzling plasma,
so
if I
what,
can
what
call it
what
that.
what was the setting here? Were you outside? You were trying to do a contact? Like, how did this happen?
Okay. Yeah, so I literally I was like, okay, I planned it out like I'm gonna do a CE5, um, and I just because I do regular meditation practice anyways. Um, so usually when I'm gonna do a CE5, I do my standard regular meditation practice, and I just throw in the intention basically, and and I did a video called Meta Contact, METTA. So I'll throw in different modalities that I use personally for contact. Which one powerful one for me is if you've had a contact experience, and you can usually pick up on a feeling or impression that you get. And if I want to be metaphysical about it, I can say in your energetic body you get a certain vibe, right? Or I can just say more modestly a feeling. So one technique I've used for years is to reproduce that feeling internally and kind of like radiate it. So I did my regular meditation, and then I went to like a contact sequence, and I did that. And so the whole thing was 45 minutes because I just timed my meditation session out that way. And I went outside, and literally within 3 minutes, this orange plasma orb came pulsing over, and I don't know how low it was. Like, again, it's hard to tell the distance of an object if you don't know its size, and vice versa. But it was clearly lower than anything else in the sky by far. Maybe it was 1,000 feet up, maybe 2,000. I don't know, but it was pretty. It was very big for an object in the sky, and it was again, it was like this fizzling energy. Again, there's nothing that I can explain, that I can see in the night sky, that looks anything like that. It looked alive in a sense. And it went over, and it was just slowly going over. And again, it was moving so slow. And I was just, again, I felt the level of connectedness. And then all of a sudden, it just phased out and disappeared completely. It's kind of slowly, not too fast. It didn't just vanish, but it just dim, completely disappeared. But again, it was not a drone. Didn't act like one, and again, it just literally vanished. Somebody wanted to crash their drone out. I don't know, but I've not seen a drone that looks anything like that. And again, you'll notice with some of these contact experiences, and this is something that Dr. Greer explains, is the quality of the light is almost like unearthly. I can't point to another conventional human technology that demonstrates that same quality of light. There's something very different about it.
Yeah, it's what I really wonder is why they're all so different, because the quality of light with mine was unearthly, but in a different way, because mine was, the ones that I saw didn't glow,
Yeah.
and they didn't have like a staticky charge. They were like ghosts, but vivid enough for me to be like, that's really there. And when they were flying across in like a formation in the sky, you could see them like separate orbs. But when they came down and like hovered above the roof, of literally above this roof, they were like almost 2D. They were like 2D discs of slightly translucent, slightly kind of opaque pastel, like a light orange color. And I didn't think about this at the time, but when people asked me, I think back to it, and I'm pretty sure my memory is correct. There was no light spilling onto the roof. There was no light spilling onto the roof whatsoever. It was a self-contained light of some form. And obviously your one's different, glowing, but the same thing is, this does not look or feel or seem like a light that I've recognized through modern human technology, just through like electricity or light bulbs or anything like that. Why do you think they're all so different?
Okay, so this, I don't know if, so I think that we are dealing with several different intelligences.
Must be.
And I've literally had different contact experiences where the feeling was completely different, other than just the obvious physical manifestation was different. But literally the vibe you get completely different in some cases. And the human part of me is going to say there's a functional reason for it. Just kind of like the mundane reason is there's probably some kind of functional, practical reason why the phenomena appears the way it does, and we just can't we can't use our human logic in the same way that the phenomenon is operating within its own intelligence to explain the reasoning, because we don't even have the concept and framework for the phenomenon as an intelligence and why it operates the way it does, and forget about how. But I'll say one of my favorite theories on that is Grant Cameron's theory of wow. Like, just as like a fun kind of theory, as like, oh, just the wow effect, because the phenomenon is doing things where we're like, wow, not number one, it's getting our attention, and number two, it's almost expanding our perception and consciousness by doing things and operating in a way where it just blows our minds, and we basically have to break down our structure and rebuild it anew, and that fits for what the phenomenon is demonstrating. So I mean, there's probably some kind of functional reason why that is. And there was another experience that I had, and this one was in 2010 or 2011. It was 2011. It was 2011 because it was after the first CSETI event I went to, but it was before the second week-long one. And this was another one that I had. My entire family was there, so there was 1, 2, 3. I mean, people know I have kids, but my kids weren't there. This is before they were born. Well, before one of them was born. 2 of them were born. Well, yeah, I got 1, 2, 3. People know I have kids. I'm a family guy. I'm just a regular dude with a family and a job, and I just do this stuff because
casually contact non-human intelligences when you've got the time off. Yeah, man. Standard normal living.
Well, it should be, right?
It should be, yeah, for sure.
I think in the future, right? But there were many family members there. I had 3 family members there that were all adults, and for 2 of them were there for the 2007 event. So they had seen this kind of stuff before with me. But the other one wasn't there. And it was their first, not only sighting, but it was their first CE5. And that event was absolutely incredible. And again, this is 4 years after the 2007 events, and this still blew my mind, because there's no way I can explain this experience without people assuming that I'm exaggerating in some way, and I'm completely not. But there were hundreds of different crafts or orbs throughout this entire experience, hundreds, and many of them were very different. Like, there was literally what I would call, like, you could see the outline of the craft, but there was like a purple orb or ball of energy in the center of it, and you can see the outline of the rest of the craft. And it was literally just purple. And then, like, if shortly away from it, like over here, there was one like that was just green, and away from that there's one that's literally just red. And there's a bunch of those, and then there's the ones that are just orbs. They look just like balls of energy in the sky. And again, these things they're not just there; they're moving and they're interacting all on their own accord. And there's what people call streakers. So, like, it kind of looks like a meteor, except it's making like S like this. I swear to God. And other ones that are shooting over in different directions. And so there's all this stuff going on, and then there's the orbs that are on the ground, and this whole thing
on the ground.
Yeah, like literally, I could have ran up and touched these objects. The ones on the ground were like not quite the size of a basketball, but approaching that size, like bigger than a softball, smaller than a basketball. And they were yellow orbs, and they were kind of similar to the red orb I described earlier, but they were phasing in and out of reality. And again, they're almost in a pyramid structure. So there's one here at the top, there's 2, and then 3, and then 4. The best I can recount it. I can't say that's exactly precise, but that's like the kind of general observation, and they were phasing in and out, and but they were not. They never appeared like physical like the stuff in the sky, but clear. I mean, clear as day to me there, and I felt this. I it was even before I saw those, but when I saw those, I can't tell if it's my body's reaction to it or it's the objects creating the effect. Is that like I just had static electricity all over my body. Every inch of my body was like electrified. Um, and so there's all this stuff going on, all literally at the same time. But those orbs that were there, that were like literally less than they must have been like 7 feet away from me.
Wow.
But they were only there for maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. But the rest of the stuff was going on again for almost a half an hour.
So I have to ask, because there will be people already commenting saying it. Why didn't you film it?
Oh my God. There was no way I was, well, again, and I did leave, and I kicked myself for leaving, but I was just like literally, I had thought about it, like it crossed my mind for like a split second, and I'm like, I'm not leaving this situation right now.
Yeah.
This is kind of like what it was all about. And this, mind you, this was a CE5. So the ones in 2007 just happened to me, right? This was an initiated contact that, and again, I didn't talk about this publicly for years because I don't want people to think they're going to do a CE5 and this is going to happen.
Yeah,
this was clearly unusual.
Oh yeah.
And even after the 2007 experiences, I did not expect this to happen. I wasn't expecting anything like this to happen. And the person with me, it was their first.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was their experience like? What was their reaction to this?
So the funny thing about that is, when we finished, we did a 20-minute meditation. I told them before, listen, just, and I'm kind of expecting in my head, like, this is their first CE5.
It might not work. It might not be what you expect.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like that. And I was not expecting much, but we finished the meditation and this person was crying, and they said they got in their meditation. First of all, they said they obviously weren't, but they felt like they were levitating. They felt like they were floating. I didn't look over to see if they were or not. I don't think
maybe they were.
I don't think there was any levitation, but they said they had the sensation that they were energized and kind of that kind of thing. And they got the message, look for the lights. And they were crying. That very powerful internal meditative connection experience. And even I, I've been doing the contact at that point for a while and had a lot of contact experience myself. And I was kind of like, maybe they're just, I hate to say this and I hope they don't watch this, but I was kind of like, the colors. And I'm like, maybe they just got that I didn't think anything of it, honestly. I was just like, maybe they just heard that in their head and they can't determine between contact and a voice in their head. I was literally, I shouldn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. And but I took it. I didn't say, oh no, that's BS. I took it and I said, okay, I don't know what to do with that, right? But I've learned years since that a lot of times you'll get impressions, and it's good not to try to decode them. You just have to let them unveil themselves, and it will make sense afterwards. But you're not always going to understand it initially. Similar to remote viewing, you'll see something and you don't know what it absolutely represents. Like you might get several impressions correct, but not the whole thing, and then afterwards it's like, holy shit. So yeah, again, that this person had this very powerful experience, and I didn't know what to think of it. But as soon as we went outside, that's it was that it was, the action was there. It started just with these two satellite-looking objects, but there went one flashed and then the other flashed back at it. When I shined a laser, and again, I don't recommend anybody ever use lasers. Don't use lasers, but this is just part of what happened. I shine the laser in the middle of it, and then they flashed, and I'm like, oh shit, this is going on, and then everything took off from there. Um,
So
so I
what was just how did that person respond to not just the meditation, but to actually then having this confirmatory experience for the first time ever? I could imagine they were
every